Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Peru Info Session. My name is Gerardo. I am the Program Service Coordinator here at the District of San Mateo. So, for any questions that you might have related to Peru or any other program, whether it's scholarships as well, I'm the person for you to reach out to. Feel free to contact me anytime or stop by our office in Skyline, Building 19, room 410.
Great. Thanks, Gerardo. Alejandro.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Alejandro Pizarro. I'm one of the directors of the host organization Ecoswell that's going to be um, planning and coordinating all of the trip to Peru, Lima, Cusco, and Talara Lobitos. I'm very excited to have you come to my country and will receive you very warmly. Thank you.
Thank you, Alejandro. And Diego?
Awesome. Thank you, Susan. Hello, everybody. My name is Diego Ceballos. I'm here housed at Cañada College and one of the co-instigators of this program, putting it together. I'm also from Peru, and I will be chaperoning all you guys in this future awesome trip. Thank you.
Yep. So Diego and I are the two faculty and staff members that will be conducting the study abroad portion in Peru. And then Alejandro, as he noted, is our community partner in Peru. They're a program provider there in Peru, and he is with Ecoswell, the director or the program that we're going to be working most closely with. How about your students? Who else is here? If anybody want to give a shout out, either, yeah, you can unmute and tell us a little bit about why you're interested in this program or what your background is. And or you can put something in the chat as well, but I'd love to hear and see who's here. Any takers?
Okay. Hi, I'm Toria.
Hello, Toria. Thanks.
Hi, I'm actually a student at Sacramento City College,
Oh,
and I've been awarded a fellowship so I can study abroad. I have so many options. I don't even know where to begin, how to. I thought I had certain parameters that I would use to narrow it down, but then I'm kind of changing my mind. And I just received an email about this option. So
excellent.
I decided to just
Check
check
it
it
out.
out. So that's why I'm
All
here.
right. Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us and congratulations on your scholarship.
Thank you.
Yeah, exciting. Well, we're going to learn a lot about this program here today, and you can decide if it's a good fit for you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Who else? All
Um,
right.
Hi,
Go ahead.
I'm Carly. I'm interested in doing a degree in environmental science, and I would love to visit Peru. I've always wanted to visit Peru, so just happy to see this opportunity.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. Yes, environmental science majors out there. This is a great fit for you all. Who else? I see Lorenzo put something in the chat as a nursing major, loves environmental science. Interestingly, we're going to be working a little bit with EcoSwell and public health. So you nursing folks, yeah, you'll find a little niche for you as well as we look at some of the sustainability programs that EcoSwell has done with the clinics in the rural northern part of Peru. Who else? Anyone else? Renee, I see you're unmuted if you wanted to share, or anyone else want to share in the chat or out loud, kind of what you're interested in learning about today, what's exciting to you, what your background is, any of that. Would love to hear from you. Right. Well, we can move along. Feel free to use the chat to ask questions as we go, and Gerardo and Diego will kind of keep track of those questions, so we'll make sure that we get them all answered. All right, with no further ado, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Again, welcome to the our third info session for the study abroad program, environmental science in Peru. You can see hopefully you can all see my screen here. You can see the program information sessions that we have. We have one more program information session coming up on March 13th. And that's the last of it. Here's our contact information, and we'll also put that in the chat and give that at the end as well. Let's see here. All right, so first of all, before we get into the details of our Peru trip, just some ideas on why someone might want to study abroad. There are so many reasons to study abroad, quite frankly. The first one there is pretty general: empowerment through international experiments. That pretty much covers a lot of these other bullet points here as well. Clearly, you're taking classes to get credits for transfer, and you're going to be able to apply what you learn in the classroom into real life situations. So of course that's valuable, but also the fact that we're going abroad and that you're going to be immersing yourself in a different culture just opens up a whole array of other learning opportunities. You're going to encounter cultures and experiences that you've never encountered before. You're going to grow your sense of independence and your ability to adapt to new situations. We're definitely going to have situations that probably don't go according to plan, and that's going to give you an opportunity to be creative and figure out solutions and learn to be flexible, et cetera, et cetera. There's really nothing quite like studying abroad. And most students, after going on study abroad programs, look back with amazement at the things that they've done and the things that they've seen and how much they've grown. You can see the little information down here at the bottom. The American Institute for Foreign Study Research notes that 85% of students who have studied abroad cite it as the very most meaningful experience of their college education. So it's going to be amazing, and you're going to learn a lot, you're going to grow, and you're going to take along or build up some transferable skills. One of our staff members at the study abroad office that often participates in these info sessions always likes to give the anecdote of a student who recently has done a job interview where they found that as soon as they mentioned they studied abroad, the interview just became talking about that experience and about all the growth that they'd had during that experience and all the skills that experience brought them. So you're going to find that the study abroad experience that we're going on, it may only be 2 weeks, but it's going to reverberate throughout your life as you look back on it and as you use the new skills that you learn. So next, why go to Peru, right? There's a lot of reasons for this, of course, as well. Here at Kenyatta College, we're a Hispanic serving institution as defined by the federal government. And interestingly, our district hardly ever has study abroad programs in Latin America. And so when we realized this, we thought we needed to change that. So this is an opportunity for our Hispanic serving institution to really put our money where our whatever the expression is, to really to be true to our core here and give the opportunity to do study abroad in Latin America. So that was important to Diego and I as we started thinking about this trip. Then too, Peru is a large country with amazing resources for us to study. We're going to begin our time in an urban environment in Lima, one of the largest cities in South America. And we'll be comparing and contrasting our lived experience in the urban area here in the Bay Area with that of the experience in Lima. And after that, though, we also head into the mountains, into the Andes, where we're going to be in Cusco and Machu Picchu. After that, we go up into the coastal desert area. So Peru itself offers us many varied landscapes. We are not going to be spending a lot of time in the rainforest. We'll be right on the edge of the rainforest there in Machu Picchu, but we'll be considering that environment as well. So the diverse landscapes that Peru offers us to study is pretty amazing. Additionally, we'll be looking at the cultural history of Peru. So not only will we be looking at the contemporary issues in Peru, climate change and water pollution and water resources and solid waste management and, agricultural systems and that sort of thing in the contemporary landscape, but we're also going to be looking back and see how did the ancient Incas interact with these resources and issues, and how did the Spanish colonial period deal with these same issues and resources. So not only do we have diverse landscapes to study in Peru, but we have that rich cultural history to look at as well. Before we get too much further, I do want to point out that this course even is 2 weeks in Peru, but outside of that, it's also part of a larger summer course. So the course itself is 8 weeks. We spend the first 6 weeks in an online asynchronous class where you'll be learning all sorts of the basics of environmental science. That summer session starts on June 8th. Ends August 1st. So we have 6 weeks here on environmental science here in the United States, after which then we set out for the last 2 weeks of the class will be in Peru. During the first 6 weeks, we will have a few class meetings. These dates are not set. These are tentative dates. My goal is to have 2 in-person meetings and 2 synchronous Zoom meetings so that we can get to know one another, build some community together, and in our study of environmental science before we go. We'll make these class dates work for everyone. If we need to shift it so that it's just 1 in-person class meeting, we may do that. So these class meetings aren't yet set, but we'll make sure that it works for all the program participants. Now let's get into the actual course. So as I've already hinted at, we're going to be traveling around in Peru. We're going to go to several different locations. This is not your standard study abroad class in that we are not partnering with one of the big study abroad program providers that most schools partner with. We are partnering with Ecoswell, the organization Alejandro works for. And that's a small Peruvian nonprofit that has a focus of sustainability. So we are going to see we're going to see different things. We're going to hit all the major, touristy areas in Cusco and Machu Picchu and Lima and that. We're going to get a sense of the things that most people would see on a study abroad program, but we're also going to go on the road less traveled, so to speak. We're going to get closer involved in communities and see how people are dealing with sustainability issues, and hopefully we'll even get a chance to work along with these community members as they solve some of the sustainability issues in their communities. So as we go through this, I have some slides here. I'm going to have Alejandro join me in presenting these. Our first stop is in Lima. And that first stop is where we'll land in the airplane, obviously, and we will spend 2 or so days in urban Lima, studying a whole variety of things, most notably water resources, because here we have Lima. It's a dense urban environment, the largest city in Peru, one of the largest cities in Latin America, and it's virtually in a desert. So how do they get their water? Who has access to the water? Those are some of the questions we'll be looking at, as well as we'll be looking at climate change and solid waste management and other things as well. Alejandro, do you want to chime in a little bit
Yes,
or a lot
Susan.
about
Thank you.
our experience as you see it in Lima?
Yeah. Well, first off, I'd like to introduce Ecoswell. Okay.
Thank you. Please do.
Yes. Yes. Excellent. So to everyone present, we at Ecoswell, we are an award-winning NGO focused on helping marginalized communities in Peru develop sustainably. And we've been working with the students from all over the world as part of our volunteer internship program for a while now, carrying out infrastructure projects and educational projects and socio-environmental initiatives for more than 10 years already. To date, we've reached 12 different communities, most of which are in the north of Peru, in the northern coast. That's why Susan has been pointing to that northern coastal part of the country, but also to the south of Lima, 12 communities in which we have developed initiatives that are aligned with the UN SDGs that have positively impacted more than 98,000 people. Now, students that have gone through the experience of working with us have described their time with us as a transformational experience and a life-altering experience. And I sure hope that it's going to be the same for you guys visiting us here in Peru. You're going to be arriving in Lima, as Susan said, and in Lima, we, mm, we will find a dense city that is right beside a beautiful coastline and that within it has some traces of colonial and pre-colonial history. And that's the tourism attraction here. First off, watching the ocean from these beautiful cliffs that you can see in the picture, but also visiting the colonial and pre-colonial sites that are within this metropolitan area. And of course, what Susan is saying is we're going to be focused on sustainability aspects. And one of the trips that we're going to be doing inside Lima is alongside an organization, a social impact organization called Simba, that works on solid waste management with the city's restaurants in order to reuse their organic and recycle their inorganic waste. We're going to be able to go into the operations of Simba and watch what they do from the inside alongside their own leader, their own director, which is going to be a, a fine experience, I think, here in Lima. Susan, I'll let you go ahead and then maybe I can chime in a little more in
Sure.
Cusco.
Yep. So after we depart Lima, we fly to Cusco, which of course is a United Nations World Heritage Site, the whole city. This is the region that was the center of the Incan population or community during pre-colonial times. And then when the Spanish came and conquered the Incas, and they built over many of the Incan sites and created a colonial city. And it's in today's world, it's still a major city, I think sixth or seventh largest city in Lima. So it's an urban area in its own right in today's world as well. So we'll be looking at all that history as we look at Cusco. We have some guided tours within Cusco, and we'll be looking at and considering ecotourism and again, water management and waste management and energy, all these themes that drive throughout our whole course of environmental science. But then we're also going to do something kind of special in that we're going to get out into some rural communities around Cusco. Alejandro, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, sure. Well, first off, when we come out of Lima, this dense metropolitan area that will be very similar in many ways to what life in California is like, different but similar. When we get to Cusco, the situation will be completely different. The whole city is built upon the stones that the Incas set. So you are literally walking through Incan streets whilst you are in the city of Cusco. Just walking around Cusco is a magical experience in and of itself because you're constantly seeing in the basis of the architecture of each of the buildings the remains of the Incan culture. And on top of that, you get to see the colonial buildings, the churches, the municipal palaces that are literally on top of where the Incas used to build their own constructions. I visited Cusco several times. It doesn't, it always surprises me, and I always find something new. And the interesting thing about our trip is that apart from being in the city of Cusco, where you can already find a lot of this um, touristic experience of the Incan past, we will also be traveling to a nearby area to look at sustainable projects, to look at productive projects related to agriculture, related to livestock that have been there for a while, since 1993. Again, we will be able to go through these productive projects with the people that are managing them directly. We're going to get out of the beaten track. We're going to be able to see these projects firsthand. And then after that beautiful and humbling experience of actually seeing these projects face to face, we're gonna go to Machu Picchu in the photo that you can see here. And Machu Picchu is very different from Cusco itself because this is in the near, it's near the jungle already. We're gonna go deeper into the jungle to go into Machu Picchu. And Machu Picchu itself has been so well preserved that you will not only see the basis of the architecture, but you will see the whole Incan architecture itself in front of you. A very well kept wonder of the world, Machu Picchu is. And I think an experience that we should live at least once in our lifetime. So, yes, probably the highlight of the whole trip here in Machu Picchu.
Mhm. And interestingly, while we're in Machu Picchu, we can also look at some of the same issues and resources that we're going to be following throughout our whole trek in Peru. How did the ancient Inca deal with water management at this site? And we'll find that some of their engineering not only is still observable, but it's still functioning, which is just amazing to think about. So anyway, so after our experience in Machu Picchu, we come back to Cusco, and then we set off again by airplane again, and we end up, I can move, flying to, having some problems with my slides here. I'll try. Here we go. Flying to far northern Peru, a place that most tourists probably don't go. And this is where the headquarters of Ecoswell is, and we'll be working and living in a small rural coastal community called Lobitos. So I'll let Alejandro explain
Okay.
many of the different projects that Ecoswell has in this region.
Well, I went to Lobitos the first time looking for waves. I wanted to surf, and then I stayed there for a long, long while. I stayed there for 6 years, and I've made Lobitos my life project together with three of my lifelong friends. Now, Lobitos is a place that is, it's a very beautiful community, 1,600 people in the town, a beautiful coastline, a very nice place to relax, to breathe in clean air. And here we found, apart from the natural beauty, a lot of difficulties regarding development, infrastructure, socio-economical development as well. And we've been working on tackling some of these issues through a holistic approach that helps out with wastewater, energy, public health, and conservation. We will be able to see the ecotourism trails that we've developed in the area, the wastewater solutions that are very different from any other wastewater solution that you've seen. They're very local, very rustic, but they do work. The clean energy solutions, much more technological, also very, very efficient. We are actually helping medical centers power up so that they can have vaccines, so that they can have properly functioning emergency rooms, because this is an area that gets a lot of power cuts, a lot of energy issues. We'll be going into the medical centers, as Susan said before, so the nursing students will also get a peek at what healthcare looks like in this area of the country. We'll see how these instruments, how these systems, PV systems, help these medical centers thrive, even with the difficulties that we can find in this area. Yes, so a bit of conservation, a bit of bird watching, a bit of trail walking, clean energy installations, wastewater systems, and public health. We'll get to see a little of all here in Lobitos, guided by our local staff and our directors in the headquarters of Lobitos. This is the most extensive part of the trip. It's also the deepest part of the trip in terms of the academic work that we'll be doing. There'll be time for, there'll be classroom time, there'll be field work, and of course, there's going to be time to chill, time to have fun, time to experience the natural world around us, and just enjoy this beautiful area of the country that maybe you wouldn't be able to see, right? Because it's a very rare visit for the normal Peru tourist that comes to Peru. Well, I think that's it, Susan.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Yeah, excellent. And so again, this is where we spend the last 6, 7 days of our program, and where you'll really get to feel what it's like to live in these communities in Peru. So the EcoSwell does so many wonderful projects here that are using what some might call appropriate engineering, meaning engineering that is going to be able to be sustainable in order to really solve some of these issues with water pollution or with energy or with clean, using less fuel for cooking stoves and revegetating some of the coastal ecosystems, etc. So very excited about this, and this is something that you seriously won't get in any other study abroad program, where you get to really embed in a local community and see firsthand some of these solutions that they've come up with, and then also hopefully get to participate in some of these projects as well.
Oh, yes,
Mhm.
we will be able
Okay,
to
yeah.
participate, especially on the reforestation side of the
Cool.
project.
Yep. And EcoSwell has hosted some other universities over time, mostly engineering schools, I think. So we're very excited to be the first community college that
Yeah.
has gone to visit their facilities. All right. Now into kind of some of the nitty gritty here. We have the program fee posted now. That program fee, you can see some of the things it includes. $4,262. That's going to be the highest that it would be, as if we get, that's for 10 to 14 students. If we hit 15 students, it goes down slightly. If we hit 20 students, it goes down slightly. So that's the highest it would be. That includes all your transportation throughout Peru, double occupancy accommodations, except some of the accommodations may be more hostel, like I'm not sure if it, and maybe Alejandro can tell us if when we're at EcoSwell, if it will be double occupancy or maybe a little slightly different. It includes many of our meals, not all. It includes most of the breakfast, most of the lunches, and about half the dinners. It includes all of our, our guided excursions, all our travel in the country of Peru. It includes emergency insurance, support, 24/7 support, and pre-departure services and orientation. So it does not include the international airfare to get to Peru, but it includes all of the transportation once we're in Peru. The international airfare, this is the current estimate of the flight that we're suggesting. Some students are looking at getting different flights to save costs, and this is an estimate. This cost could go up or down, but this is just the trip that the international flight that we're recommending. So if you add that with the program fee, you can get a sense of the complete maximum of the budget. This doesn't include other fees for tuition at our college, which is pretty minimal. Our textbook, I think it's 40. I'm not sure how many dollars a textbook was, $30, $40. Many of you have programs that pay for your textbooks. It doesn't include the cost of getting your passport. And it doesn't include if you were to opt for trip cancellation insurance. For the air flight, this is the flight that we're recommending. We're recommending leaving actually on the 13th of July and flying through Los Angeles. The flight through Los Angeles has the advantage of having a longer leg from LA to Lima, so that's an overnight portion of the flight, so that you could actually get some sleep. So that's what we're encouraging for the flight to Peru, and then the flight home. We're going to also fly through LAX. So if there was any complications or anything like that, we wouldn't be in a different country. So we're recommending that we fly that long flight overnight to LAX and then the short flight back up to San Francisco. Students are encouraged to take these flights, and as soon as you are accepted into the program, you could go ahead and book those. We recommend that because then we can ensure that we can get you from the airport to the hotel. If you take your own flight and find another flight, or decide to come in early, or that sort of thing, or decide to stay a few days later, we can't probably provide you with transport from the airport to the hotel. So you'll need to take an Uber or something like that if you decide to do another flight. Again, we're encouraging the group flight. It's fun to fly together. Then you're well taken care of in that group flight experience, and it gets you to the airport with everybody else, and it just makes things easier. Eligibility for the program. You do need to be 18 years old as of the program departure date. You need to be in good academic standing. You need to apply for the program. Obviously, the preliminary or the priority deadline for applications is March 9th. We still do have room in the program, so and maybe by March 9th we'll be full, maybe we won't, I can't guarantee. So we do encourage people to get their application in by March 9th. The application is really easy. It's just some of your personal information, your name and your transcripts and that sort of thing. And then there's 3 or 4 very short essays, prompts, a paragraph or so on each, paragraph or 2 on, why you want to do this program, how it fits into your educational plan, how you're going to pay for it, that sort of thing. After you apply, then you'll get an email probably from me asking you to set up an interview. So you just pick a date and time of the ones that I provide that works, pick one that works for you, and you do an informal Zoom interview with Diego and I, where we get an opportunity to learn a little bit more about you, and you get the opportunity to ask more questions about the program. You don't need a visa to go to Peru if you are a U.S. citizen. If you are not a U.S. citizen, you should double check and see if you need a visa, but you do need a passport. And so if you have not started the process of getting a passport, I encourage you to get started on that, and our study abroad office can help you understand that process as well. What to expect? I think I'll start with the last one. Not all the comforts of home, right? Expect that it'll be different than home, which is a wonderful, beautiful thing, actually. So we will have, um, you know, an opportunity to live in a different country, experience a different culture, eat different foods than we're used to, etc. So we just need to go in with that expectation and be open-minded and flexible and willing to take on that adventure. I believe most of the lodging is double occupancy. We have private transportation and guides while in country. Our schedule is pretty full every day, especially the first 6 or 7 days. We're quite full. Once we get to Lobitos, we still have a pretty full schedule, but there's a little bit more time for just kickback time. But this is a course, so you do need to expect to, well, first of all, complete the first 6 weeks online before you go, and then be ready for interesting discussions and for adding your own ideas and participating in that way. As part of the class, you will choose an area that you want to focus in on, whether that's energy or solid waste or um, food systems or climate change, that you'll do a little bit more work before you go on those so that you can hone in on those even in more detail when you're in Peru. So yeah, this is going to be an amazing adventure, but it's not a vacation, right? It's still a class. And that's really a wonderful, exciting aspect of this trip. Um, is the experience right for you? I found that study abroad is right for almost everybody, but you want to really consider um, what to expect and to be honest with us and with yourself about your personal situation. Um, Studying abroad, we'll encounter problems. I'll just say it right out there. There'll be things that don't quite go according to plan. But that's just an opportunity for practicing some and developing new skills and independence and problem solving and creativity and tolerance and um, yeah, patience, all those things. I like to think of those type of challenges as the opportunity to make memories. So that's how I think about that. So there'll be some challenges. We will overcome them, but there'll be challenges. Also, we'll be hiking a little bit in this class, and the terrain is not always flat and level and that. So that you have to be ready to be outside in somewhat strenuous conditions sometimes, and hiking on uneven terrain and being out exposed to the sun and the wind. Um, of course, there could be challenges living with people that you're not as familiar with, right? So your colleagues on the trip. And as I've already said, this is an academic trip, so it's not a full-on vacation. Um, but it is a really pleasant adventure for sure. So anyway, you'll have the opportunity to kind of reflect on all this and then and think about how this experience will work for you and the opportunities for growth and for exploration. Gerardo, do you want to talk about the application? You're more familiar with that than I am.
Yeah, of course. The application itself, which I'm dropping in the chat right now for any student that hasn't applied yet, I encourage you to do so. The application is to save your spot. You still have to go like through the informal process, right? Which is a informal one-on-one interview with Professor Diego and Professor Susan. And the purpose of these short essay prompts is just for the faculty themselves to get to know you, get to know a little bit more about your personal goals, what you're trying to get out of this experience, and what do you plan on hopefully bringing to the table and stuff like that. It's don't I would say this is what I tell all students across all programs. Don't stress about the essay responses. Super informal. Just try to I get to close as 250 words.
Mhm. Yep. So we put a few of the essay prompts in here just to show you how they're not scary. But yeah, so you have, I think, 3 or 4 short essay questions and then a short application where you give some personal information, name, major, transcripts, that sort of thing. So it's a pretty easy application, and I encourage you to get your applications in so that you can be sure to sort of save yourself a spot, so to speak. How to apply? Gerardo put the application link in the chat. You can find that application link also on our Study Abroad website. After the application, then you'll get an email from me which I'll ask you to set up an interview time. All right. After you do the interview, assuming that we've mutually agreed that this is a good opportunity for you, then that is when your student account would be assessed the program fee. And then you have, we don't have it on here till March 22nd, I believe. Is that the right date? We have till March 22nd to get in your deposit. So the
Yes.
deposit is 30% of the program fee. So that's about 3 weeks from now or so, right? To get in the deposit. And then after that, you register for the summer session, and you have until Friday, May 22nd to get in the remainder of the program fee. This may go down, like I said, depending on how many people end up going on the trip. Okay. And then the last thing, of course, is to complete the first 6-week portion of our course. And then the rest is gravy. The rest is the trip itself. People ask about the refund and withdrawal policy. We've got it here, and it's also on our website. If you withdraw or if you apply and are accepted and start paying your fees, you have until Friday, March 20th to withdraw, and you get all that back. After March 20th, but before May 22nd, you would still get some of your fees back, but not the deposit. So that first couple $1,000. So you really want to know that you're gonna follow through on this when you're starting to make your payments. After May 22nd, there is no refunds available.
I just want to add real quick that the
Mhm.
deposit is due March 20th.
Oh,
So
not March 22nd, March 20th. Okay, my
yes,
bad.
correct, March 20th. So anything after March 20th, you will end up losing the deposit itself.
Mhm.
It's non-refundable.
Right. There is trip cancellation insurance that you could, I don't know if we have a slide on that. We do not on there. There is trip cancellation insurance that you could choose to purchase if you wanted to insure against losing everything if you could not go. But you need to be very careful with that because there's only certain reasons that insurance can be activated. So does the Study Abroad office have information on trip cancellation insurance, and when do students get information about that, Gerardo?
We should have that up anytime, as soon as tomorrow, hopefully.
Okay.
As soon as tomorrow. It would be live on our website.
Okay. All right. How to pay for this? Obviously, I know from talking with several of you, have been saving for this for quite some time. So obviously, personal funds and family supports is one way to pay for it. There's also scholarships. If you have not done so already, all of you should be applying for the SMCCD Foundation scholarships. I believe there's information somewhere on the Study Abroad website for that. I'm not sure, or maybe someone can put that in the chat. There's also some very special scholarships, most notably the Gilman Scholarship. The deadline for the second round of the Gilman is coming up. It's this week. So we already have at least 3 students who have won the Gilman Scholarship for this particular trip. So congratulations to those students. They applied in the fall. There's a fall round of the Gilman and then a spring round. So if you're planning to still apply for the Gilman scholarship, you should probably hang on here at the end and make sure you're connected with Gerardo or Diego or someone so that we can help you with that application. Again, many students in our district have been very successful with that particular scholarship that is for study abroad. Also be creative. We have one student that is doing, some sales on of her own through campus and social media. We have another student in the past that has reached out to her extended family network and guaranteed them gifts and was overwhelmed with the amount of support that she got from them. And now she has a lot of shopping to do on her study abroad program. But people around you might be willing to help you. So be creative with that. I'm not sure if we have any others here. The first info session, we also mentioned the Umoja scholarship. Okay, we don't have that on there. I think that one's, the deadline is passed. But there are other scholarships available, but you got to really get on it because time is ticking on those.
I would
The
suggest to
last,
go
Mhm.
to I would suggest to go to your home college financial aid director. Most of the time
Yes,
they have information of scholarships available and they
good
can
point.
guide you on those. As well as I
Yes.
can express that, I mean, it might be too short of a time to get a part-time job right now, but like Suzanne said, fundraising through social media. Another way I've seen a lot of students get, funding for study abroad trips is going to their local religious institution, whether,
Mhm.
asking them, it doesn't hurt to, go up to them, go to your local community, ask for help. Most of the time they're willing to help out. So as long as you are open to, putting yourself out there and asking, the worst they can say is no, right? So
Yeah.
just put
Actually,
yourself
that's a
out there.
good point. So three things that Gerardo's mentioned there is one, the financial aid office at each of the schools has information on the San Mateo Community College Foundation scholarships, and they even have sessions to help you apply for that scholarship, and that's coming. That deadline is fast approaching too. So go to the financial aid office. That's one good thing. Go to other organizations that you're a member of, whether that's a church or even here on campus, different programs sometimes have pockets of money for students to apply for and use. So you may be surprised to get support from one of the other groups that you're already part of. So those are all good ideas. This last slide here just shows some contact information for myself and for Diego, as well as for the study abroad office here. Here's Gerardo's information. And do we have anything else on here? Oh, just the final slide. This will be an amazing trip. And again, a trip like no other, really, because of our community partner and because of the locations that we're choosing to go and the fact that we are going to be participating on these projects with local community members in Peru. All right, with that said, I will open it up. Is there anything, first of all, my trip partners, Diego and Alejandro, have we missed something that we needed to talk about? Or do you have any closing things to add? And then we'll open it up for questions as well.
Yes, if you allow me to say something briefly, very quickly, another avenue for funding, which I want you all to think about it carefully before choosing to go this route. But if you're employed and you're receiving financial aid, there's something called subsidized loans. That might be an avenue that you want to explore as long as you're responsible and you think you can pay them back. That's something for you to talk with your financial aid advisor and they can guide you through the process. I put on the chat. The second part of it is I want to share a little bit about my experience in the past with this program. I think it's important that you all know that part of being a student is to seek transformational experience or transformational education rather than transactional. And let me tell you what I mean by that, by having transformational education. Many years back, I was fortunate to study not environmental science, global poverty and practice, which led me to EcoSwell. That was approximately 5 years ago, and that's how this program came to be. I was fortunate to go back to my own home country, study poverty, and get hands-on experience on environmental programs, which have put all this together for you all to actually experience the same type of experience and go beyond that. And if you don't believe that this is transformational, this would have been possible if it wasn't for me landing in EcoSwell 5 years ago to be able to package this experience. And to give you context, my job is not a job that often let people travel, but I created a job where now I can travel and even go back home based on our previous experiences. So
Can I add on? Can I
yes,
add on that?
yes.
So Diego was a Kenyatta College student 7 or 8 years ago and transferred to Berkeley. Did very well there, and at Berkeley is where he decided to do study abroad. And as he just said, he went to Peru and he engaged with EcoSwell, and it was a very profound, deep experience for him. And he, as a result, when he became a staff member here at Kenyatta College, he reached out to try to figure out how we can develop this program. So again, this program wouldn't even have occurred had not Diego studied abroad himself. And he's been the one that's been pushing this program so that other students can experience a similar transformational program. Yeah, so thanks, Diego.
Yeah, take advantage of this opportunity. Make the best out of it, and I promise you it will change your life forever, just how it changed mine. Thank you.
All right. Alejandro, do you have any closing words for us about
I think those are
EcoSwell, this
great closing
opportunity?
remarks. I
Yeah.
think those are great closing remarks. I'm a very good friend of Diego thanks to that experience, thanks to the fact that he came over to EcoSwell. And I'm very happy to see everything flourishing and the program happening this year. But yes, that's it. Nothing more to
Okay,
add.
great. And we'll open it up also if any of the students have any questions about the class, about Peru, about EcoSwell, about the program, about the logistics, about anything. What sort of questions do y'all have? Anyone? And has anyone else done a study abroad previously? That's an interesting one too. If any of you have done study abroad. I know that several of the people that have applied to this program have done previous study abroad, but most of the students who have applied thus far to the program, this will be their first study abroad. And currently, we have a really diverse group of students in terms of their backgrounds that have applied. We have engineers, we have nursing students, we have students interested in psychology, interested in environmental science, of course, biology, etc.